and welcome back. I just thought I would get around to doing as we promised, looking into clearing out this area here to sort of create like a through channel, as it were. Allow these two ponds to blend together. Hope things have been going well for you. In case you're wondering, it is still freezing cold over here, but nothing we can do about that. So if my accuracy is a little low, it's because my fingers are going numb. No, I think I've done, over the course of starting this little thing, I think I've done 3 separate recordings in 3 different houses. You know, I guess it's good to move around and get around, but good grief. Again, at the moment, it's a vague idea of how I want this all to sort of look. Just trying to get enough of a channel so that the things in here can get out there. And again, looking at our map here, we can sort of see the arrow we want to carve out. Sort of just a little bit of a bend here. So nothing better to do than just slowly whittle away. I'm not sure if you can tell, I don't know how you would, but it's been a bit of time between recordings. Life, as always, seems determined to get in the way. But what you gonna do? I suppose you gotta, find moments to enjoy a quiet time like this. Not to sound incredibly self-conscious, but I don't really like doing the recording side of things when there's anyone else sort of around. I know the idea of just being heard sitting in my room talking to myself doesn't help any mental images, does it? But then again, I guess at the end of the day, if it's making you happy, it shouldn't really matter what other people think. We all have our own ways of enjoying life. So once we get this channel here done, we can go over and check on those coke furnaces we set up last time. See if we've got any of that treated wood, well, any of the creosote oil ready to make some treated wood. I've also been keeping my eye out for a specific kind of rice plant that, much like the early day cabbages, has continued to elude me. It's a different one to the rice wheat that we've seen thus far. It can be very helpful in making canvas, which will be helpful even later along when we want to set up stuff for like bookshelves and enchanting. It's just all part of the to-do list. Oh, in one of the between session recordings, I did manage to go off and, as you can see, we've got a few new visitors at the house now. Managed to collect a bunch of pigs. Found them sort of down here in this aspen forest. Done a little wandering around, but nothing too extreme. I haven't gone, too far. After all, it's supposed to be travelling along together. It would be very fun if I just sprinted ahead. I think I'm sort of being unable to record as often as I'd like. It's probably helping with my creative side of it. It gives me ideas of things I want to do more and more. Because if you just sit and you play it constantly, I'm worried I might burn out before getting to some of those ideas that I've mentioned thus far. And again, it's just something peaceful to take my mind off things at the moment. I don't know. Sometimes you'll need a little bit of a distraction, don't we? So why not play a silly little block game? And I have actually been playing this game for quite a few years. It was big when I started high school. I remember, getting some less than legal copies, let's say, from a kid in my class, and then it all took off. Like, played on the bus ride home on your terrible school laptop. And then, I remember sometimes in class, I'd be like slacking off because I'd be trying to figure out how to set up a server for me and my friends. And then It was, my goodness, it was like one of the first mod packs me and my friends all played. It was like Tekit or Technic, one of those first two. With immersive, no, not immersive, industrial craft, I think is what it was called. Like the very first like technical mod packs. Anyway, so I was like running the server off of my school laptop and then playing an instance for myself as well. So I had like 15 FPS, terrible lag. I didn't have a mouse or anything at that point. The school laptop was like the first computer I had, so I was just like, oh, I'll just use the trackpad the whole time. So and because the computer gets so warm, I'd like burn the end of my fingers running it over the trackpad to play Minecraft. The surprising thing is it worked. Obviously, later on we figured out that that wasn't the best idea to do. We got a server and stuff like that, but those early days were very silly. Always like blowing up our little machine blocks because we didn't understand how the power currents worked. But still fond memories, as it were. Time to head back and have a little bit of a snooze. It's just so lovely. When I do these recordings, I listen to sort of like, ambient tracks. They're different to the ones that I put in the background for obvious legal reasons. But I don't know, sometimes the music and the environment lines up just right. Put down. I will say, yes, that's something I've been noticing. Since we started growing crops out the front here, been getting a few visitors. I don't mind them, I just wish they were a little bit more quiet. I understand that these recordings are pretty quiet. Again, I'm still learning how all this stuff works, so there is going to be a bit of a curve to understanding here. But getting it done. I guess sandstone does live here. What did we use all our sandstone for last time? It was the coke blocks, wasn't it? Oh, back to it. Actually, whilst we're here, let's see. Yeah, we've got a few spare buckets. Good grief. Just won't look at that. Yeah. Not the biggest fan of spiders, to be honest. I do remember one time I was playing this particular mod pack with some of my friends. We always get that feeling around summer, just sort of binge Minecraft. It's too hot to do anything else. And there was like this realistic spider leg mod, and they like crawled around the ceiling. None of us like that. So, what the hell is this? That's ominous. Always need bauxite. Personally, I'm glad that was nothing. Coward. Because, again, talking about early Minecraft, when you were like, you'd come over from school, you'd watch, scary Minecraft videos. I'm sure we all have memories and such like that. Staying up late, playing it on your own, past your bedtime. It was always a bit unnerving sometimes, especially in like early alpha builds and stuff like that with the super short render distance. Because again, I was playing on my school laptop, I had to have like the fog distance set to the minimum. There's always something about that early alpha fog that was sort of just unsettling, as it were. And the good news is we've got a couple diamonds to spare, so we can bust out the old diamond. Just remembered I did actually need that sand. Let's see if we can make it a bit, obviously a bit prettier than it is right now. Sort of give it that more naturally eroded sort of look to it. Sort of as though the stream flowing through here has sort of halved the path over the years. Oops. I guess that's what I get for looking out the window whilst building. Not great, not terrible though. I want to knock this side back a little bit more, otherwise the channel's going to be fairly narrow. A bit of guesswork is involved with this. And there's an idea. Knock this out, and the sand that's being held up by the sandstone should fall into place and help for a bit of that more natural looking design. Yeah, that looks right. Better get home. We'll get a better look at things in the morning once the sun's risen. See how our natural erosion design is looking. Nothing but the peaceful sound of crows to help us sleep. Lovely. You know, I don't think I asked, but I don't know. What's your favourite kind of construction work to do in Minecraft? Prefer shaping the terrain to make sort of, you know, natural wonders, as it were? More industrial designs? More abstract? Or do you prefer the more pixel perfect recreations of things? Me, I don't really know what my preferred style is. I remember way back at the start, I think it was one of the first mod packs, well, not the first, but like one of the first mods I'd actively installed on my own. It was it's called an airship mod. Basically, it was like a single sort of helm block that you could put onto some structure that you'd made. And then, you know, that would be basically the wheel. And then you could turn it on, and the whole block would become... Sorry, everything that the helm block was collected to, up to, I think it was like 128 or 256 blocks, would sort of become this single structure that you could move and fly around. I remember very early on, I'd just build spaceships out of stone. Because this was back in Alpha. I don't think there was really much else, and I didn't know very much. But I always used light blue wool for the engines. So if the engines at the back would be glowing at that sort of blue sci-fi colour. And then I just set them to max speed and then just jump off. And then I always like to imagine, you know, the ship is just going off into the distance. Of course, like, there's never everyone... Of course, there's never anyone else in, like, your single-player worlds, but the idea of someday someone just stumbling across this ancient ship that you've made, and it's just sort of hurling across the space. You know, this sort of like ambient wonder, I suppose, is what I was trying to like go for. And then, you know, if I'd ever go out exploring and I'd run into one. I'd be like, oh, what a twist! Like, but of course, yeah. Obviously, I was the one making them, but still, it was always fun to run into them. Maybe it's time to start filling this thing with some water. I will be the first to admit, making a bit of a dog's breakfast of this. If nothing else, at least we'll know for next time. There we are. A little bit of trial and error, but we got there in the end. Now let's connect these two strings. Lovely. Now, hopefully, no more whales will get stuck in this pond over here, and everyone's got a way to get out to the big blue. Now I know what you're thinking. Oh, but you just connected a freshwater environment to a saltwater environment. No, 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 look. You can see down the bottom, salt deposits. So we can just explain away that at some point in the past there was some sort of landslide cutting this sort of inland pool off from the rest of the ocean, or perhaps only at high tide the two connect. Now, a steady stream for things to flow through. Isn't that right, little fellas? Alright, what are we supposed to be doing? Because that wasn't on the list. But it needed doing it. A treated wood. Time to enjoy the fruits of our arduous labour. I made myself a cup of coffee, but unfortunately I've let it sit for a little bit too long. So I've reached the point where it's a bit cold. As I said, it is pretty cold here, so... again. Oh well. We carry on. That's right, I was supposed to put some sort of bridge across here at some stage. Not right now. No more distractions for the moment. We've got our buckets, and as we can have a look in here, you can see that the coke ovens have been burning away. Lots of coke coal. I believe... there's a bucket of it there. I believe I may have already collected some of the coke previously, because this is outputting a lot of creosote. And I think it was actually running short on coal, which is why there's not too much in there. But I think out here, our drums are... there's no way to see. I think that little red dot on the bottom does mean that it is full. And these hold an amount. I can't remember. I think it's like 16 buckets each. So as you could say, as you can see, we have plenty of creosote. But what we need to do now is treat some wood. I just realised we're going to need to get some wood. So just a moment. Ah, yes. So this is a good way of getting a good chunk of wood rather quickly, and as you can see, although it's a bit dark in here, we've been generating some podzol here on the ground as a result of growing these, as you can see, these taller taller spruce wood trees. Look at that. 64, and there's still some up there. Which means I'm going to have to go up. Have to be a bit careful. Quite hungry work. Good thing we've still got some of these dumplings to munch on. That should hopefully be enough spruce for the moment. Got this. And down we go. Anyway, back to making the treated wood. So we have a few buckets here, so we can help ourselves to some of this. There, also I was mistaken, 12 buckets per barrel. That should hopefully be good for now. Now what we do is we take some of the spruce, around like that, and that makes 8 treated wood planks. So it's going to be a little bit of effort. Go. 3 stacks. We can always make more if we need it. We know where to come back to. Now what I am wanting to do is turn these into these treated wood stairs. So unfortunately it's not the best return on investment. But also this has opened up a bit of other crafting windows for us. We can make some tables, stools, benches with this sort of darker tone. Again, until we get our hands on a more sophisticated mode of transport, places like dark oak forests are going to be a little out of our reach for the moment. Not that the acacia adventure wasn't great fun, but I think the dark oak is just it's usually going to be in a... It's less frequent, is what I'm trying to say. Do we want to have... I think the... Oh, we can have a little bit of a tinker. Perhaps not, the stuff's quite expensive, but let's have a little look-see. I'm leaning a bit more towards this, for the roof of our fish hut. Let's get to it. Perhaps a roof that isn't super tall. I do sort of like the more flat looking roof to it. Perhaps stair slab. I'll give it a little bit of a tinker. think that'll turn out alright. Besides, we can afford to experiment. Plenty more creosote back at the Acacia Hut. Perhaps, if anything, a bit too much, but what you gonna do? I do like that contrast there, the treated wood on the spruce. I think it looks fairly nice. See if we can get this done before nightfall. And have a peek back at this in the morning. These are little menaces, aren't they? Oi! My cabbages. Buzz off. On here you go. Hey, that looks alright. Yeah, look at that. I like that. Well, I think we might have to do just a little something about those scarecrows. I might have to do a little something about those crows. They've just given away what the plan is, but we'll see if building a scarecrow has any effect. I'm not sure what the collision is with different mods and different mobs and stuff like that, so let's find out. Alrighty, we're going to need a carved pumpkin, some leather, a bale, and a stick. I seem to recall us picking up some pumpkins in our earlier escapades. There's one, and we make it into a carved. That doesn't feel right. I am going to see what happens if I right-click on it with some shears. See? Just as good. 2 pieces of leather. Some weights. That'll be enough. Ooh. As you can see, plenty of milk. Put the ice into our food storage. Keep everything nice and frozen and cold. Plenty of eggs. Some sugar, some buckets. Coming along really well. Alright. Do apologise, lads, but... Oh. Or not. This one. They eaten one. There we go. That seems to have worked. Love it when a plan comes together. Oh, might as well grab some cabbages whilst we're here. Oh, not. Oi! So much for the scarecrow. I wonder. We do have this book we set up ages ago. Well, that's offensive. A simple carved pumpkin is enough to scare away any crow from a small field. Approached. The broody appearance crows can actually be tamed by tossing them some pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin seeds. Tame crows are extremely useful creatures with a variety of different uses. They can be made to sit, wander, follow, or gather items. Any tamed crow sitting on a hay block will slowly regain health. That might be worth looking into in the future, but for now, I think we just need a second pumpkin, apparently. Unfortunate that the scarecrow didn't really do the job. Alright, there we go. Now we've got two of them. What do you think of that? Simple carved pumpkin should be enough. Well, with the crows under control for the moment at least, it's time to turn our attention to number 2 on our to-do list. Well, number 3 now, I think. I am wanting to set up a bit of like a tool shed or a workshop, somewhere that we can dive into the more mechanical sides of immersive engineering. I think that will be a nice place to start. But I think we'll have a bit of a distance between here, our nice home, and our tool shed. I'm thinking actually, over near where we sort of carved out that channel a bit earlier, there's a hill nearby to that, that I think will be a very nice sort of flat terrain to begin our building on. See if we can break some ground before nightfall. So I think up on this hill will be good. It's not going to be a big building. It'll just be like pretty much just like a little work shed, really. Not going to be housing any massive machines or anything like that. Just a little spot where we can do some tinkering. So let's flatten things out a little bit. Maybe one more layer. So the house is, or the shed I should say, is probably going to face a specific direction. Problem is, I don't think it's not wide enough to have us face this view here. Two, three, four. So I had an initial design in my head, but I've sort of gotten here and decided to change my mind. I think, you know, so the centre bit a bit larger, and then two smaller rooms attached to the main central room. I think we can make that. It'll be a bit snug up on this hill. I think snug would be the best way to describe it. Might have to do a little expanding, but should hopefully all fit. With this house, I'm looking for a bit of a different style. I'm thinking white quartz on, what's it called? Deep slate, and then with some spruce wood low lights / highlights, I suppose. So there's the base shape, as it were. Oh boy. Seems like we've picked up some trouble once again. Oh, that's not great. We'll have to be sure to drink some milk before we go anywhere. swear I just saw a flash of green. Oh. It's alright. Didn't end up talking much during that construction. We just sort of zoned out. It's nice to be able to just, I don't know, take my mind off things and just do something like this to keep my mind free of thought. And about you, but life's been getting pretty busy. Work, family, social life, creative activities, it just sort of all begins adding up at some point. Which, you know, makes you appreciate moments like these all that much more. See, I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. I'm wondering if it might look a bit nicer if the if the roof was made out of spruce wood stairs, but we still kept like the deep slate for like an outline. Might have to knock down this roof on the side and see how that looks. But first, we have to do a little bit of cooking. Look at that. Isn't that lovely? Look. Might have to invest in some scuba outfits or something like that. Sort of go delving through the caves. Bring a light source with us, something like that. It might be a bit of fun. It wasn't too long ago I started watching cave diving videos. Not like actual, well, I suppose it is actual footage of cave diving, but with reactions from like two cave divers. They sort of talk about it and explain what's going on and how they do things and stuff like that. They were actually like some perilous ones. They say, oh, you know, this is outside the safety rules. I do find stuff like that very interesting. Just sort of, you know, learning the ways that this hobby sort of works. Not that I'm ever going to do it myself, because not a fan of that. Underwater would be bad enough, but underwater in a cave would be even worse. Now, what do we feel like making today? Sort of off. Don't have a dog. Vegetable soup. We're running low on carrots because we have been farming some pigs. Pasta with meatballs, cooked rice, ratatouille, apple cider, sort of the base for the sauce, pasta with mutton chops. Dumplings are pretty good. You know, 2 for 1 as it were. Pumpkin soup. Only take a bit of milk. No, we have been making some pumpkins lately. We still have a couple upstairs. Besides, we have pumpkin seeds, which realistically probably plant at some point, but we can use these. Trusty knife. There we go. Actually, I do make Thai pumpkin soup on occasion, so not too dissimilar. What else do we need? This is exactly how I am when I'm actually cooking as well. Instantly forget everything about the recipe that I'm trying to make, unless I've made it like 100 times. And even then, still have to double check the recipes. Lettuce. Seems that pork is our only option for the pumpkin soup. But luckily we can use some bottles of milk. Which actually reminds me, we need a swig of milk ourselves. Let's visit the cows real quick. As loud as ever, but there goes the ill omen. Last thing we'd want is to go out trading and cause some trouble for the villagers. Some milk. Look away for this part. Just make sure to wash your prepping area between working. Ideally, you would have, different chopping boards for different substances, but this is a video game. You can't get away with a tiny bit of slacking. There we go. 8 of that. 8 of that. 8 of that. And look at all this lettuce. That should be just good enough. Splish, splash, splash. There we go, that's cooking up. And I think tomorrow we'll keep working on that house. We have enough spruce. Yes, plenty of spruce. Oh, look at that. I think we get the bottle back. Very unique way of depositing it, but oh well. We just stand here and wait for it to cook. Look at that. You just see it in the distance. Once we've got structure built, we can get on to putting in some a workbench, tinkering tables, stuff we can start putting our ideas to somewhere we can start working upon our ideas. And there it is. Pumpkin soup. Starved. Lovely. Now you shouldn't actually do this, but with a full belly we will go to bed. Should sleep like a log. That was lucky. Didn't exactly want to be stuck out in the blood moon again. I do apologise if you've been hearing any trucks and stuff rumble by in the background. Not much I can do about that, unfortunately. I'll just have to sort of time my witty retorts in between the traffic lights, I suppose. Central bit should probably stay as the tiles. I don't have a lot, but it might be worth just having a look at how it looks. It doesn't look as nice. The textures aren't quite uniform. I reckon that looks alright. Might be worth elevating that tile on the top level just to sort of show off that, sort of like to complete the outline of the spruce. Oop. Guess we'll save this treated wood for something else. You know what? I reckon I could probably top it off with slabs instead of full blocks. But I reckon that's a good idea. Well, the good news is we'll have plenty of stone stairs if we have any other ideas of what to do with them later on. Now, well, looks like we can't escape it for that long. I really feel like going on another mining escapade, but might not have much of a choice. Let's see if at the very least we can get this roof finished before things get too hostile out here. Well, we'll have to come and check on it in the morning. Oh, that minimap is filling up. Let's just go around. Bit of a wide berth. Well, seems a bit excessive out there at the moment. Let me just look at all that. You know, missed a spot. Nothing to do right now, I think, except just ride out the night. Our mine entrance is sort of in between those field of mobs, so we might just be stuck in here for a little bit. Oh well. Might as well, you know what? I know just the way to pass the time. Nice bit of light reading. Bone serpent. Great. Mimicubes. Great. Warped Moscow. Great. Tarantula hooks. Apparently, not that mean to be around. Gusters. Great. No, this book isn't really settling my nerves. A void worm. Great. Enderiophage. Great. Oh, you've got to be kidding. Now there's a mob with some chest hair. Great. Compressed. The fish becomes a pink pile of sludge if under less than 10 blocks of water pressure. Ah. It's our friend from the boat chase. Swimming with a pot of orcas can grant one the Orca's Might effect. This might grants increased attack speed. Orca often use their native strength against drowned and guardians. Maybe they weren't trying to eat us. But then again, don't want to risk it. I also think that the moon is set and the undead have begun to burn. Which means we can get back to finishing off that house. There we are. 1, 2. That should be it. Oh yeah. That's looking nice. Let's finish the outline with the stone stairs. This. A little bit more. So it's not just a wall. And it's time for the ever-present question of windows once again. I think that maybe some framed glass would look nice. Something in a darker tone, perhaps. Perhaps a grey framed glass pane. Aha. See, the one thing we haven't run into quite a lot right now is actually squids. But we do have an abundance of blackberries. See how much dye we can rustle up. I was mistaken, we seemingly do have quite a bit of ink sacs. Though I'm not seeing much in the way of bones. But hopefully these oxized daisies can fill that void. Or not. Grey dye. We can get some white dye. Lily of the Valley, bone meal, snowdrops, crushing, winter rose, pink daffodils, bone meal. Don't know if we have white tulip. 20% chance. What have we got in the way of flowers? Oxize, poppies, dandelions, azures, oxize, blobfish. How'd you get in there? Acacia blossoms. How many these flowers? More acacia blossoms, more oxize. That unfortunately is a bit of a humdinger. Maybe if we were to just settle for light grey. We've got the flowers for it. Yeah, let's give light grey a look. And also hold on to our ink sacs for later. This can go in there too. Always a good excuse to make use of the furnace house. It'll be tricky with my really cold fingers. at that. Firing on all cylinders. Just grab a bit of iron whilst we're here. Yeah, about half a stack, I reckon. That is more expensive than I realised. But the good news is, we can make paints, which will give us a good return. There we are. We'll put those flowers. So before we do them all, we should see how we like the look of the paints. I will have to test how they look in the morning. We should probably keep our eyes open for a skeleton. So we do want to make that that grey dye. We will need some bone meal. It's just obviously a bit perilous out here at night. Oh, hang on a second. Remember we killed that skeleton back at the new house we're building. Bone was in my backpack the whole time. Right. Well, shows how much I pay attention, doesn't it? Like I said, life's been pretty busy recently. I'm allowed to have a slight misstep here and there. I can imagine every time I open my backpack, someone seeing the bone in there and just silently screaming. Alright, let's give this a go. Bit of this, bit of that. Lovely jubbly, as it were. Again, just one, just in case we don't like the look of it. Should grab a couple of these, just in case we get over there and decide that it is all well and good. Well, let's have a little look. Not really all that discernible of a difference. Maybe we do try the black stained glass. It's not really doing for me all that I would hoped it would. The good news is we can get this back. Let's just try some regular framed glass. I'm almost afraid to say that I like this the most. Well, now we know. That looks real nice. Alright. Back over we go. 36 should hopefully be enough. White looks just a little bit too white. As in, there's nothing to sort of break it up. It just looks like just a chunk. You know what? I'll say that's an improvement. I think that's just about done. Nice little work shed. Right, well, now comes the part of putting in what we need. Got an idea of what we need? First stop is going to be getting some more of that treated wood. I think dusk is sort of my favourite time to run around in this world. The lighting just looks so wonderful. Look at that. Time to tinker. Well, let us start with getting I think maybe there. Looks right. Put one in the middle there. And then put our secondary table over here. Just have to get a couple more things. That channel looked nice. It's handy to have a screwdriver. It's one thing I'm starting to remember about immersive engineering. It is a little on the pricey side in terms of resources. Panic there for a second. Oh, can't make heads or tails of that at the moment, but doesn't that look nice? More intense workbench, nice little workbench in the middle. And then, the left and the right hand sides can be for other machine type things. Though, it may be time to work on the lighting in here. Not too keen on venturing to the nether just yet. I was hoping to use some of the lanterns that immersive engineering has. Keep everything on brand here, as it were. Looks like we might have to rely upon our good old-fashioned lanterns. At least for the moment. Now we're actually starting to run low on iron. Might be time to do either go on a mining adventure or start cooking up what we have. Check back in with our resources at the house. Well, there's other stuff we're not really using in a minute, but iron is a bit of a linchpin. Probably need to get on to something that allows us to more efficiently process our ores, but like I said, it's not really a sprint. This should have everything we need to know. Not entirely how I was expecting it to sit. That's not terrible though. Figured to have some storage here just for the more immersive engineering stuff, just so we always know where it is. And a little bit of extras just in case we get in trouble when we're out here. Let's get these lanterns down. That's all nice and lit up. I'll leave a couple here just in case we end up needing more. I reckon we could put our treated wood in here. I do suspect we'll have to get more in the future. I think that's coming along alright. Again, over here we could put something else. I'm thinking maybe if we need any smaller create objects or like little machinery, they can go on this side. We can get a bit of immersive engineering flow going here. But there is one more thing I'd like to do whilst we're out here, and that is set up a little area to grow some flax seeds. Sorry, not flax. Industrial hemp is an important resource in the immersive engineering mod, so we might as well get to it. Doesn't necessarily have to be a very big lot. Just trying to figure out where we'd want to put it. We can always move it later if we don't like it. Maybe down there in this little valley gully thing. Yeah, just a little bit of a farm. That'll surely grow up nicely. Might actually be worth putting a bed in this house at some stage. Just, if we're working late. Saves us trekking across the wilderness to get home. Oh, this is looking lovely. Alright, it is freezing here, so I'm going to take a little bit of a break. I'll either see you next time, or see you in like 10 seconds if I decide that there's more to do, as it were. I don't know how the edit's going to turn out yet, so we'll just have to wait and see. If not, catch you next time.